Moon that we see almost every night is a natural satellite of the earth. This means that the moon revolves around the earth in a regular path. Hello student, I am Vandana Joshi and you are watching SST June. Students, in our previous video we have studied about our solar system and many more. Today we will study about the moon. As I told you, the moon is the only natural satellite of the earth. Like the origin of the earth, there have been attempts to explain how the moon was formed. Moon is formed 4.4 billion years ago due to big spelt shortly after formation of earth. Huge objects collided with earth and blasted a large part of earth into space. This first modern idea about the formation of the moon was called the fission theory, and it came from George Darwin, the son of Charles Darwin. The most widely accepted theory is that the moon was formed when a Mars sized object slammed into the earth billions of years ago. Students might be thinking, what is the fission theory? The fission theory is proposed that the moon was once part of the earth and somehow separated from the earth early in the history of the solar system. The present Pacific Ocean basin is the most popular site for the part of the earth from which the moon came. So student, it was the hypothesis which has given by Sir George Darwin in 1838. Now let's see how moon looks like. As it has been observed, the moon's surface is covered by rocks and loose dirt which we call lunar soil. It is pock-marked with craters of different sizes because of meteoroids that hits its surface. There is no atmosphere in the moon because there is no air, there is no life on the moon. If you look up at the moon at night, you would have noticed that it changes its shape every day. This is because the heavenly body has no light of its own. It can only reflect light from the sun. Only the side of the moon which faces the sun can reflect this light and can appear bright. And it is a general fact that the moon is an astronomical body orbiting Earth as its only natural satellite. Student, it was a short information about the moon. Now moving to the next topic, evolution of the Earth. Student, already you have studied about the evolution of the Earth in our previous video. In this topic, we will know how the Earth is having a layered structure in short. Student, already we have studied the nebular theory and the Big Bang theory for the evolution of the Earth, in which we have seen how the Earth has been formed. Now we will see that how the Earth is having layers. As we know, the Earth's structure is made up of many chemical compositions. The Earth initially was a barren, rocky, and hot object with a thin atmosphere of hydrogen and helium. In the process of the formation of the Earth, which may have caused these changes from rocky, barren, and hot Earth to be a beautiful planet. During the differentiation and cooling of the Earth, gases and water vapors were released from the interior solid Earth. And this process formed the layered structure of the Earth, which we will study in our next chapter. Student, as we know, the Earth structure is divided into three parts: crust, mantle, and core. The structure of the Earth is always a mystery for man. Now let's solve this mystery in our next topic, evolution of lithosphere. During its primary stage, the earth was mostly in volatile stage. Due to gradual increase in density, the temperature inside has increased. As a result, the material inside started getting separated depending on their densities. This allowed heavier material like iron to sink towards the center of the earth and the lighter ones to move towards the surface. With passage of time, it cooled further and solidified and condensed into a smaller size. This later led to the development of the outer surface in the form of a crust and later the lithosphere. As we know, there are two more domains in our biosphere. These are atmosphere and hydrosphere. So, how they formed, let's see in our next topic, evolution of atmosphere and hydrosphere. Students, as we know, the present composition of Earth's atmosphere is chiefly contributed by nitrogen and oxygen. There are three stages in the evolution of the present atmosphere. The first stage is marked by the loss of primordial atmosphere. In the second stage, the hot interior of the earth contributed to the evolution of the atmosphere. Finally, the composition of the atmosphere was modified by the living world through the process of photosynthesis. The continuous volcanic eruption contributed water vapors and gases. As the earth cooled, the water vapors released started getting condensed. The carbon dioxide in the atmosphere got dissolved in rainwater and the temperature further decreased, causing more condensation and more rain. The rainwater falling onto the surface got collected in the depressions to give rise to oceans and formed our hydrosphere. Once the biosphere completed, the last phase in the evolution of the earth related to the origin and evolution of life. So now look upon our last topic, origin of life. Modern scientists refer to the origin of life as a kind of chemical reaction which first generated complex organic molecules and assembled them. This assemblage was such that they could duplicate themselves, converting inanimate matter into living substance. If we see the hypothesis, one theory is there of Professor Russell, which is saying life on Earth began about 4 billion years ago. The composition of the water of the sea of that time was very different from that of the seas of today. Initially, there was no oxygen in the Earth's atmosphere. Slowly, oxygen was formed, and finally, it reached the current level. Oxygen is produced by green plants that release oxygen by taking carbon dioxide from the atmosphere during photosynthesis. The earliest green plants on Earth were green algae called cyanobacteria. Therefore, it can be inferred that the earliest organism did not respire with the aid of oxygen, but rather with anoxic respiration. Most organisms today require oxygen. Still, the origin of life is a mystery to the scientist, but as much discovered by the scientists we can see in this given picture step by step. In this picture, we can see the first origin of the universe, then origin of the sun, then formation of our biosphere, and the formation of unicellular bacteria. And thus, after that, Step by step in the periods, you can see the formation of modern man started just before 10,000 years ago. Student, now this chapter is complete. Hope you understood this. We will know more about these topics in our upcoming chapters. So, till then, stay home and be safe.